day 6 of Take from 10 shopping kits. Hopefully you're ready to do some more 3-digit minus 2-digit, and you've practiced. All right, take out your whiteboard, write down these answers, and then check back when you're finished. All right, 356's next 10 equals 360. Its big benchmark, or next 100, equals 400. 491's next 10, or close benchmark, is 500. Its big benchmark is 500. Remember, if our numbers are in the 90s, the next 10 and the next 100 will be the same number. 712's next 10 is 720. Its big benchmark, or next 100, equals 800. 810's close benchmark is 810, because remember, it already ends in a 0. Its big benchmark is 900. 251's next 10 is 260, and its big benchmark equals 300. 564's next 10 is 570, and its big benchmark is 600. Hopefully you have all those. You should have been practicing doing close benchmarks and big benchmarks all year on your number of the day page, so hopefully by now those are super easy for you. All right, let's practice some renaming. Now, yesterday we did them 2 different ways, but I also warned you when they start getting big into the 2, 3, 400s, it's always easier just to go to the next 100 and then add the extra. So 70, we're going to add the partner, which is 30. Now that we're at 100, think back to your number lines and think, how do I get from 100 to 345? So there's our 100 and then 345. You really don't want to try to balance all that in your head. Remember, the goal of all these strategies is to make math easier, and to make it easier, that way we get the right answer. We don't want to make it more complicated. All right, 274 equals 80 plus, add the partner to 100. And now that you're at 100, you need another 174. 612. Add the partner to 40, which is 60. Now that you're at 100, add 512. All right, 469 equals 80. Add the partner to 100, which is 20. Now that you're at 100, you need a 369. On 558, this partner to 60 equals 40. Now that you're at 100, you need a 458. Honestly, that's how I would write those at this point. When they start getting bigger, it's just too complicated to remember all that in your head. All right, let's practice. Here's your problem, 132 minus 86. Go ahead and try to do it with the close benchmark and the big benchmark, and then click on the next 2 slides to see how you did. All right, 132 minus 86. I put my 186 there, and I put my close benchmark above it, which is 90. I have to rename it, so I add the 10 to get to 100 and the 32 to get to 132. Make sure you combine both of these 2 numbers to bring them down to 42. And then since this is the close benchmark, you just need the partner to the next 10. 86 on a number line plus 4 will get you to that 90. 42 plus 4 equals 46. As you look at close benchmarks and big benchmarks, they both have things I love and things that are a little bit harder. The hard part on close benchmark is the renaming. This is the hard part on a close benchmark. It's having to do that renaming. The adding down at the bottom is super easy. Now let's look at the big benchmark. On the big benchmark, remember we put the next 100, which is 100, and add 32 to rename it. You bring down the 32. Remember, when I'm going to the 100, you need your big partner or your partner to 100. Make sure you do your 90 plus 10 check to make sure that you have the right partner. The easy part of the big benchmark is the renaming. I absolutely think that is a simple part. The hard part is the adding at the bottom. So it's almost backwards of the close benchmark. You might want to bring the 14 down so you can see it lined up in column form and put 46. Great job. All right, here's your next problem. And I did it both ways for you with your close benchmark. So I wrote it 70, because that's the next 10, plus the partner to 100, plus the leftover, which is the 122. On this side, I combined the 30 and the 122, but again, that is hard. 63, if we add a 7, gets us to 70. And then we add that 152. Notice it's exactly the same as this over here. So we add 152 plus 7 and get 159. Like I've said, if you're going to do close benchmark, this is the way that I really feel is the easier way to do it. Just don't forget to add both numbers together when you bring them down. Okay, let's try the big benchmark. 63's big partner, or next 100, equals 100. To rename it, I just need the 122. I bring the 122 down. Now remember, just like I'm on the number line, if I'm at 63, how do I get to that 100? With the big partner, which is 37. Remember, we check and make sure it's a 90 and a 10, and it is. Remember, this is the hard part of this problem. It's this adding. You can do horizontal, but do you see that 100? So you might find it easier just to bring down and put it in the columns. Make sure you put the 10s in the 10s, the 1s in the 1s, and add and get 159. Great job. Okay, try this problem first with the close benchmark. So the first thing you're going to do is put a minus 64 there, and in your head think, who is 64's next 10? Well, it's 70. Now that you're at 70, how do I get to the 100? By adding 30. Now that I'm at 100, how do I get to 700? Well, with a 621. Make sure you add all of this together and bring it down with a 651. Who is 64's close partner? 6. So 651 plus 6 equals 657. Again, on close benchmark, it's the renaming that's hard. This stuff down there is pretty easy because we're always adding low numbers. All right, let's try the same problem with the big benchmark. So I put my subtract 64. Who is 64's next 100? Well, it's 100. How does 100 get to 700? With a 600, and then add your 21. Bring the 621, and then think who is 64's partner to 100. Don't just put a 6 because we're not going to 70, we're going to 100. So it needs a 36. Remember, this is the easy part on these problems. The adding is the hard part on the big benchmarks, but I would just bring that 36 down and write it right underneath that so you can easily add it. Make sure you put your ones in your ones, your tens in your tens. Great job, kids. Make sure you practice, 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 practice. After doing number lines, though, these should be pretty nice because you've done picture proofs and number lines, and they all are kind of the same. Tomorrow we will start with 3-digit minus 3-digit, so make sure you're ready.